Good evening, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to Mind the Mental Monday. This is Reverend Benita Weathers. I'm happy to be here with you all tonight, and I hope that you are looking forward to continuing to mind your mental. And as I mention every week, the purpose of this originally, actually, I started this. I don't call it a podcast because it's kind of not really that. It's just a time of sharing, a time of wanting everyone to be intentional about being aware of their mental health. And I really honestly, my original purpose for starting it was really to sort of bring together a community of people, in particular caregivers of people with depression. And as many of you already know, I wrote a book called The Scream Within: Mental Health and Clergy Marriage's Journey of a Pastor's Spouse, which depicts my experiences being the wife of a pastor who is, in his words, is at war with depression. So one of the things that we, as a couple, like to do is to just share our experiences. He has been here with me on Mind the Mental Monday, talking about his war with depression from a pastor perspective. I developed a workshop for churches, specifically for churches, around mental health and the need for churches to be engaged with mental health, churches to help people to find resources that they might need for mental health so that we are not just telling people to go pray about it or to just get over it, but we are praying about the resources that God has provided in the earth for our health. And that there's no shame in seeking help for the mental aspect of our health, just the same as we do for the physical aspect of our health. And even in the Christian faith, we are taught that our bodies are the temples of the Holy Spirit. And part of that is that we should take care of ourselves. We should take care of ourselves physically, mentally, and spiritually because God created us to be the holistic beings that we are. So it's important to me and to my husband as well to share our experiences with others, to encourage our brothers and sisters to seek help for their mental health if that is needed. And so initially, my thought was to sort of every Monday in Mind the Mental Monday really address issues around caregiving, right? Being the caregiver of one who is at war with mental health, I mean, is at war with depression or maybe even other types of mental health challenges. And uh, it ended up sort of morphing into really just talking about a wide range of topics around minding our mental, around taking care of our mental health, because there's so much that impacts our mental health. And so it was really hard to sort of stick to the idea of just focusing on being a caregiver of one with mental health challenges, because truth be told, all of us at some point in time have some kind of mental health challenge, and it might not be something that is diagnosed. It might not be something that one would consider serious necessarily, but nevertheless, our mental health plays a huge role in how we show up in the world. And whether we have a diagnosed issue or not, um, we understand that we are all dealing with some kind of mental health challenge. So now I like to really just talk about various types of various issues, various types of issues that impact our mental health. And I hope that I am encouraging those of you who listen, those of you who, whether you're listening live or whether you join, whether you listen to the replays. Again, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, I'm asking you to please do so. It's Benita Weathers 329. And there you can find all the episodes of Mind the Mental Monday, and where I talk about a lot of different stuff. And I'm sure you'll find something, some topic that you can identify with. All right. So having said that, as we start out every week, drop in the comments, please tell me where you're tuning in from. Tell me how you're doing. One of the things I like to encourage people to do is to take a mental health assessment daily. In fact, not just one, but several throughout the day, 3 to 4 times a day, sort of just checking in with yourself. Because a lot of times we check in with others. A lot of times we're keyed in on what's going on with other people and how they appear to be mentally, but we don't take the time to do that for ourselves. We don't take the time to just stop and sort of check in with ourselves. I'm going to talk a lot about that tonight because the topic that I have tonight, I think it will be helpful to many of us because I think many of us are guilty of not taking the time to sort of disconnect. All right, so tell me where you're tuning in from, please, in the comments, whether you're on Facebook or whether you're on Instagram. Even if later you're tuning in on YouTube, tell me where you're tuning in from. Also, let me know, let me know how you're doing tonight. Again, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you? Where are you mentally? If 1 is I'm terrible and 10 is I am fantastic, where are you? Where do you fall on that spectrum? And wherever you fall, whether it's a 1 or a 5 or a 10 or wherever you fall along that spectrum, how do you feel about where you fall? Like, is that where you want to be? Are you okay being there? And there are times where, so if I were to do that activity for myself tonight, I would say that I'm at about a 7. And the reason that I'm at about a 7 is that I'm exhausted. I'm kind of tired. I'm a little tired tonight. And I have a lot to do. So yeah, I'm at about a 7 and I'm okay with that. I'm good with that because I know I'm not going to stay there. I know I'm going to get, the rest that I need to bump that up. I know that there are going to be other days that I might be at a 3 or 4 or whatever, but as long as we take note of where we are in during the day in our mental health. The other thing before I get into the topic tonight is I did a post, but I do want to just thank the women of Union Baptist Church in Harlem, New York, who invited me to do a workshop, a marriage workshop on keeping the fire burning in marriage, and in New York, in the mountains of New York this past weekend. And I just am so full still from that experience. And those are my sisters. I love them. I told them they are not going to get rid of me. They just are my people. And so I want to thank them. Also, coming up this weekend, I will be speaking at a conference in Atlanta, Georgia. So if those of you that are in the Atlanta area, go ahead and get your tickets. It's not too late. And it promises to be an amazing experience. So go on my page. I'll be posting the flyer again. It's up there now, but I'll post it again. But please, if you're in the Atlanta area, come on out and join in the conference. Okay, now all of that's out of the way. So tonight I want to talk about finding connection in disconnection. And I thought about that because well, one of the reasons that I thought about it is um, during the time that I was at the retreat this past weekend, one of the things that came up was, just thoughts about different places that you can do a retreat. So I had suggested a place that I really like as a retreat center. And in this particular retreat center, there there are no televisions in the room. So it really, it used to be that could almost force you to disconnect, but now we have our phones and now we can like watch TV on our phones. So so we could still do that if we wanted to on our phones, but I think that very often, some people frown upon, not having a television in the room, but I think that we are so connected, right? We're so connected to just all the stuff that filters and infiltrates our minds that we just get foggy and clogged in the head because there's so much information and disinformation bombarding us, right, on any given day. And so, in particular, now, this election season, it's got most of us, I think, just in a frenzy, right? It's unnerving, right? It's like, can we get January here already to know what we're going to be faced with, what we're going to have to deal with. But now with the 24-hour news cycle, we're watching the news. Some of us will probably watch the news 24 hours if we could. Um, and so there's social media, which hopefully you're on social media watching Monumental Monday. but what I want to encourage us to do is to disconnect. And this is not a novel or a new topic. I mean, lots of people have talked about the need to disconnect. And what is that? What does that look like for you? Right. So for me, disconnecting would be maybe taking, a 24-hour period and just staying off of social media. Now, social media is very addictive. And, it's been talked about how addictive it is for teenagers, for young people, but it's addictive for everybody. Like if my phone is there, it's like I have trained my brain that every once in a while, every so often, I need to grab my phone and scroll Instagram. Like as if I'm just really going to miss out on something if like once every couple of hours or so I don't like pick up the phone and see what's going on Instagram. I'm not missing anything. And so I think that because we are so hyper connected to media and different sources of media, it causes us to be disconnected from ourselves. We are so connected to what other people are doing, what other people are saying. We're so connected to what's happening in the news, how many people got shot today, how many crimes have happened. We're so hyper connected to all of that, all of the social ills, all of the comparing ourselves to other people who may be doing some things similar to what we're doing. Oh, I'm doing the same thing and I only have 10 followers and this person has 2,000 followers. And, we really get caught up in the madness of it all. And because we are so connected to stuff that doesn't necessarily mean anything, the more connected we are to those things, the more disconnected we are with ourselves. And the more disconnected we are with ourselves, the more the less we feel, the less we think of ourselves, the less we think about our mental health, the less we think about our physical health, the less, we think that we are worthy, the less we think that we are enough. Hey, Oh, Priscilla. Hey, Priscilla from Be More, my home, my cousin Priscilla. Hey, you're a five. Are you okay with being at a five? Um, Hopefully the five is an okay space. And if it's not, and you want to bump that up, what is it that you think you need to do to kind of bump it up to a six or seven? Baby steps, right? Because we get so bogged down with trying to make big leaps, but sometimes baby steps to get to where we're trying to go is what we need. So, getting back to what I was talking about, so that being, and hey Val, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. um, so the more connected we are to things outside of ourselves, the more disconnected we are to ourselves and with ourselves. And if you have a spiritual belief, um, I'm sorry, something looked a little funny on on Facebook. Sorry about that. Um, and if you are in have a spiritual belief, a spiritual connection, sometimes we when we're so connected to other things, the more disconnected we are from God, the more disconnected we are from our creator. And so it really is important for us to find connection and disconnection. So what I mean by that is not only just disconnecting from watching TV or disconnected for a period of time from social media, but sometimes disconnection from our family members, sometimes disconnection from our spouses. I'm not saying forever, y'all. I'm just saying sometimes having some space where you can go and just sit and be still with you and our creator. Um, Sometimes we have to disconnect from people as well. And that's okay because I'm not saying to disconnect forever. I'm saying to find a period of time where you can get all of that other noise out of your head so that you can think clearly about your purpose, so that you can think clearly about what your purpose is here in this place called earth, so that you can think about um, what God desires to get out of you. And a lot of times, the more we are, the reason that we are find ourselves connecting to social media and television so much is that we are afraid to look within. Sometimes we are afraid. We're afraid of what we might see. We're afraid of what we think of ourselves. The retreat that I was at, their theme was women putting faith over fear. And so there was one session where we were asked to just list all the possible fears that we could have. And when I tell you that all that there were lots of fears, right? And one of the facilitators said that with all of those fears that we came up with as a group, many of us are carrying at least three of them with us right now, like right in the moment. And I know that we can think of some fears that we might have, and so sometimes what social media and what television does, or any kind of media really does very often, is provides a way for us to escape reality. Even within our minds, there are times where we might go places within our minds, right, to escape whatever our current reality is. But the reality is that the reality still exists. Like no matter no amount of watching TV or scrolling Instagram or going on LinkedIn or going on Facebook, no amount of that is going to take us away from what our current reality actually is. And at the end of the day, we have to learn how to live within our reality, whatever that is. And we can't really figure out how to navigate our own reality if we're so hyper focused on everybody else's or everybody else's unreality. Because most of the stuff that we see on social media is everybody is posting their best stuff, right? Everybody on social media seems to be living their best life. And that's not always the case. Like, we've seen cases of where people, there was one case in particular a while ago, where there was a woman who was posting as if she lived in this like mansion and all this, and she was actually homeless. She was actually living in her car, right? So there's a difference between sort of um, trying to put yourself, see yourself where you plan to be and want to be, and just totally disconnecting from reality. So disconnecting from these other things can help us to connect to ourselves and sort of find out, like, if our reality is not what we want it to be or where we want it to be, it gives us an opportunity to sit quietly and to really think about, okay, I'm not where I want to be. I'm not at in the career I want to be. I'm not at the place in my career. I'm not at the place in my marriage. I'm not at the place in relationships with my friends. Like, I'm not in where I want to be. What is it? What steps can I take? What practical steps can I take to get there? Well, in order to take practical steps to get there, you got to know where there is. What is your there? Right? What is your desire? So writing that down, like taking the time to get in your quiet corner, turn off, shut out the noise. You can even write down the noise that's in your head, and then it can be down on paper, and that can help you to sort of clear your mind, at least in the time being, to actually think about, okay, now that I've gotten that out, here's where I want to be. And what do I need to do to get there? If you're not sure, maybe there's somebody who can help you navigate those waters. Maybe you have a mentor that you can tap. Maybe there's a spiritual leader, a pastor or a minister or whatever your faith is, that you're able to tap into. Maybe there's, I'm always, you all know I'm a big proponent of therapy. Or, there are people who, are licensed, who can help you sort of think through where you are, how you're thinking about yourself, why you're thinking the ways you're thinking about yourself, where it comes from, so that when you get to that root cause of why you may find it difficult to connect with yourself, you're able to sort of deal with that root, and you're able to get that weed killer and spray it and rip those weeds out. I've mentioned that before. But some of us have some weeds whose roots run deep. They run deep, and they've been growing for a long time. My husband and I, in our backyard on the side of our house, there is something that it's been cut down, but like it looked like a tree, but it's actually a weed. So there are weeds that can grow like trees if you're not, careful. And then they can get all caught up in your, getting in your the siding on your house and all that kind of stuff. You gotta cut it at the root and get it out. And so it's the same thing with a lot of those sort of deep rooted things that cause us to not want to face ourselves, that causes us to not want to connect with ourselves. So there are times where we can find connection in disconnection. We have to disconnect from those things that are not good for us. Um, and disconnection, again, is not, like I said, it's not just social media or types of media. It's not even just, certain people in our lives. It could also be like foods. It could be those foods that we know that if you eat certain things, that your body is not going to react pleasantly, right? But you like it so much. My youngest daughter has she's allergic to tomatoes and like tomato based stuff. but she loves tomatoes. So when she was little, she would just eat tomatoes, knowing that she's allergic. Now, not allergic enough that it would like kill her or that she would need an EpiPen for it, but she had eczema around her mouth. And so I always knew when she ate something that she had no business eating because she'd be sitting there doing this. And I look at her like, what did you eat? Did you eat some tomatoes? And she would be like, like, yeah. Like, okay, well now you're suffering the consequences of it. But it's the same thing in life. There are times that there are things that we like, but we know are toxic for us. We know aren't good for us. And rather than disconnect from those things, those are the things that we connect to when we find ourselves in a place where we're unhappy with ourselves. I hope this makes sense. I hope what I'm saying makes sense. If you have questions or thoughts or anything, um, let me know. And I will be happy to let you all know, to discuss those issues. But a lot of us are finding ourselves in a place where we are weary because there is so much weighing on us, right? We're getting hit left and right and frontwards and backwards with stuff all at the same time. And so, weary, when I looked up what weary is, it means depleted in strength, energy, or freshness. There is many of us are depleted, right? It's like, today was a day I felt really depleted energy wise. I was just really tired. I was sitting up here working, and sometimes I found myself sort of like kind of drifting off at the computer and just having to stand up, go out, get a breath of fresh air, drink some tea. That's my caffeine boost. Um, of choice. And so we have to do things that will allow ourselves to get up and get that energy back and do what we are purposed to do. But if we don't take that time to sort of disconnect from all the noise, um, and even deal with the internal noise, the noise of other people's opinions about us, the noise of where we feel like we should be in life versus where we actually are, the noise of not feeling good enough, not feeling pretty enough, not feeling enough. Just you fill in the blank, not feeling enough, right? um all of that noise that is playing within us is not only causing us to have mental health challenges, but we can feel that in our bodies. We carry that in our bodies. For me, when I'm stressed about something, when I have high anxiety, if I'm feeling like I failed at something, I feel it in my lower back. I have back spasms. Now, some of that is caused by the fact that I was rear-ended while at a complete stop literally 4 times in life. Um, but a lot of times it is from we carry that stress in our bodies. And so it can be that tension that we feel in our neck and in our shoulders. And so the headaches we might have, the migraines, all those kinds of things are can be effects of how we are feeling mentally. And so I just would like to, I'm not going to be here much longer, but because I think I've made the point that I really want to make. There are multiple things that are occupying our minds, whether it's politics, whether it's work, family, whether it's organizations that you're a part of, and maybe you're in leadership in those organizations. There can be a lot of things weighing on us all at the same time. And if we don't take that time to disconnect from some of these other things, what we'll find is not only will we be dealing with the stuff that's weighing on us, but we'll look at what's weighing on other people and we'll pick that up too. So I want us to be encouraged tonight to to find the connection in disconnection. Disconnect from all the noise, the social media, the news, all of that stuff. Disconnect from that for a period of time. If you can't, if not a 24-hour period, even if you can find like a couple of hours, right, where you can disconnect from that stuff and find connection with yourself. Tune in with you. Figure out where you are in this thing called life. Figure out what what challenges you might be facing and what are the steps you can take to navigate through those challenges, one step at a time. And one thing I want to encourage us to do is when we have those moments where we are bombarded with a myriad of things all at once, we can only deal with one at a time. So pick one, right? Pick one, put the other things like on a little bit of a back burner and say, okay, let me figure out what I'm going to do. Hi, Jabari. Welcome to Mental Monday. Thanks for tuning in and for participating. Definitely taking this with me through the week. Very well, to God be the glory. I'm glad you're getting something out of this. But yeah, so those things that find that time to connect with yourself. Take one thing at a time and figure out, okay, I got to deal with this. This is the most important thing. This is the most pressing thing that I need to face right now, and face that. And then grab the next thing and then the next thing. But when we try to handle all the things at once, and we're looking at social media and comparing ourselves to other people who might be doing as great as it seems they are and probably are not. And when we're comparing ourselves and we're thinking that we're failures because look at what they're doing versus what I'm doing. And listen, y'all, I'm not telling y'all stuff. I'm preaching to me. When I come on Mind the Middle Monday and I tell y'all stuff and I'm speaking from my heart because I'm speaking to me. This is like speaking to me first. And if anybody else benefits from it, praise God. I'm glad. Thank you for sharing. Yes, Jabari, I do these every Monday. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's Benita Weathers 329. And you can find all the Mind the Mental Mondays that you've missed. I think I'm at somewhere around episode 42. I think this is 42. So it's a lot up there. So maybe, you go scroll through and see if there are things that you think might be helpful to you. But I'm glad you tuned in tonight, and I hope that you'll tune in. It's every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So welcome and thank you again for tuning in. So that's it. That's it. That's all I got tonight. So I hope that I'll definitely bring more listening ears on your next live. Oh, thank you, Jabari. Thank you so much. And I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Am I pronouncing your name right? Is it Jabari? Please, I hope that I am. Thank you so much. I appreciate the support. Yeah, go subscribe to the YouTube channel and tell everybody to do the same, all your people. And hopefully, this is what I do it for. I don't do it for any kind of fame or whatever. People do these kinds of things. I'm not trying to necessarily, like get a whole lot of followers and stuff like that. My goal is to encourage whoever hears, whoever listens. I just pray that they're being encouraged. So Jabari, thank you. You really encouraged me tonight. Because you don't know how many times that I have thought to stop doing it. There have been so many times, I'm just going to be transparent right now. There have been so many times, and my team will tell you that I have thought like, ain't nobody listening to this. It's not too many, nobody's tuning in, and I get discouraged sometimes. So this is encouraging me. So I appreciate that. All right. So tune in next week for Mind the Mental Monday, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm looking forward to having another Mind the Mental Monday chat with you all. All right. God bless. Have a blessed rest of your week. Bye. Good night.